Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not all doom and gloom. Well, it's a new year, so I can't say COVID is behind us, but we are learning, of course, getting ourselves vaccinated, getting the booster shot. So there's a bit of excitement. So in the new year, as Rise and Learn, as a coach, what are you looking at and what are you focusing on?
I mean, I think for me, I'm looking at growth because the fact that we survived the last 2 years and we actually did well. Interestingly, 2020, was one of the years that, we kind of saw profitability and things like that. So it tells you that if we could survive in a difficult year, then with 2022 now, we are really looking at, thriving.
Focusing on the stuff that matter. And part of that, we're seeing businesses outsource. You playing in the HR space, how is that coming along?
Well, for us, we've been in this space for the last 5 years now, and one of the things we realize is that business owners, as entrepreneurs, you set up your business, the first thing you want to think about is not HR or hiring a HR manager to run your people, but it's really around having the processes in place. You want to be able to sell your product or your service, right? And just meet the bare minimum. So you want business owners to focus on what they do best, and that's running the business. Yeah, so the HR outsourcing space is huge. One, from a point of, we don't want to manage our labor. We want to leave it to the experts so that we focus on the core business. But then again, it comes in terms of big changes within the organizations. You're restructuring, right? It's huge. Communication, the change management element. So that I've seen it outsourced to HR firms in the recent past, because a lot of that has been going on. And I think businesses are also recognizing that they need to do things right. People need to be treated with dignity. And at the same time, they're having to deal with a lot of pressure of keeping business afloat. At the same time, who takes care of this other side of people? So it's important to have them do it right. And so we've seen them, getting, support of consultants in this particular space, which I think is also the right thing to do, because as a country, the HR professional is now regulated by an act of parliament, which is great, which means that, you have professionals who are running the HR space and not just anybody else. That means that the employees' rights will be taken care of, at the same time looking at that the employer, just is within the right course from an expense point of view.
Emily, that's quite critical here. And why I'm saying that is, I'm sitting in as a, CFO, for instance, chief HR, or CEO for that matter, and you're telling me to outsource one of the critical assets in my organization, which is a human capital. Isn't there a risk into that, in the sense of that I will not be able to have a clear line of sight into really how my people are managed, for instance?
No, I think you look at it as two aspects. There's a strategic piece and there's the operational piece, right?
Yeah.
The strategy in terms of what do I envision for this business, where do I envision for my people, because at the end of the day, it's not just people working for you and going home, but it's also about what value are you adding to your people, and what impact are they creating within the organization. So pieces around how you manage your talent, pieces around as your business expands, who is going to be taking care of that business. So being able to identify that talent and being able to manage how you reward and compensate them, into the future.
Yeah.
Those are more strategic kind of conversations, right?
Yeah.
Now that piece can never really be outsourced, because it needs to sit actually within the executive. The CEO of the business needs to really run with that and needs to support the HR business partner in that perspective. But then you've got the operations side of HR, shared services, things around payroll, things around time and attendance, and especially when you look at the factory setup, manufacturing, for example, the kind of work job holders in that space is very different from this other side. So there are different skill sets. There's a professional, then there's a skilled workers. So you've got to manage all of this differently, depending on your industry, depending on the kind of job that actually, you know, each of them is doing. So again, it just depends from organization to organization, but largely speaking, the operation side of HR is easily outsourced. That speaks to the payroll, the systems, anything related to, you know, ins and outs of the HR business.